Hey, folks, welcome to another edition of Yuba Sutter's Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts. I'm John Cassidy, along with the Appeal Democrats' very fine editor, Mr. Chuck Smith, and historian extraordinaire, or everything Yuba Sutter. Right there. That's the man. And then, of course, the legend himself, Bob Fischetti. That's right. Spaghetti with Fischetti is his new nickname. The owner-operator of Tower Media, 93Q. The highlight brand with everything going on and more coming, excitement around the corner. Bob, good seeing you.
It's good to be here. I told you I saw this picture, and we're going to fix that. 'Cause Chuck is actually 10 years older than both of us. And that just doesn't look
Time
right.
out. Time out. He's a newspaper editor.
Yeah. Oh, don't say stuff because he'll put it
Yeah, the headlines don't always match the reality, if you know what I'm saying, right? So, yeah. So,
But I also do fact checking, Robert Fischetti. I'll go pull the birth dates.
Are you going to go?
Yeah.
I think I'm the oldest, but yeah, great to be here. I love this.
Third
We're having a good
edition.
time.
Third edition.
Having a great time.
Yeah.
Finding out a lot. You guys actually know stuff.
It's kind of scary. A lot of the best part of Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts is when you're at that cocktail party in Yuba Sutter. We give you a lot of useless information to break break the conversations up and get them going in different directions.
You think they actually come over? I read this in Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts.
I think so.
Oh, wow.
We'll give you credit.
Okay.
So since last week was Valentine's week, by the way, I ordered my flowers from the Garden Gate for my lovely wife, daughter, and mother-in-law a week early, and they had them for the whole week. Pretty good. You had a great Valentine's story in Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts. And by the way, just to educate everybody, that is a word, right?
It is now.
The theme of the show comes from, and Chuck talked about it over the last couple weeks, but we'll keep bringing it up a little bit just to educate everybody. Every Saturday in the Appeal Democrat, and this is a historic column, kind of Herb Cain-ish for you old San Francisco Chronicle Examiner readers. Kind of gives you the rough notes and casual thoughts about things around the community you may or may not know that don't get necessarily headlines in the newspaper normally, but a lot of historical perspectives on things that have gone on here, a lot of connections from Yuba Sutter out to the rest of the world that get highlighted also. So Chuck, tell us about that Valentine's story.
You got through that without saying gossip column.
I don't call it a gossip column. Well, I know that's kind of what it was.
It was.
It was, yeah.
He got through it without breathing. That was the part I was like, wow.
Scary. Scary. So your Valentine's angle was pretty cool.
Well, anytime you have a Valentine's on a Friday, it's really a Valentine's weekend.
Yeah.
So I thought we need to talk about a couple of true love stories here in the community. And so one, the Stassi family.
Mm-hmm.
With legendary baseball family.
With Max, with the Giants, angling to get on their 40-man roster after,
My money's on Max.
in his 10-year career. The Stassi baseball connection to Marysville is legendary, and so I wanted to tell the story about the brothers, about Brock and Jake and Max and their father Jim. But their grandfather, Bob Stassi, was a catcher with the in the Pacific Coast League with the Hollywood Stars, which was named because there were a bunch of Hollywood stars who owned the baseball team,
right,
and wanted to build up their community. Just like what's happening in Marysville now.
This goes way back before the major leagues in the late 50s moved to San Francisco and LA. PCL was the only professional baseball that was played on the West Coast.
So Bob Stassi, his brother Sam Stassi, played with the Hollywood Stars, and when they were done with their PCL career, they bought and opened Stassi's Fourth Ward, the bar over there by the railroad tracks on 7th Street, and played baseball for the Marysville Giants. And the love story here is that Bob Stassi met a girl who was in the stands at one of the games and married her. And
that happens with athletes?
Happens with athletes. But because of that...
We always see those girls with the signs, marry me.
But because of that, their son Jim Stassi, great ball player at Yuba City High School, was drafted eventually by the Giants, played at Yuba College as well, and then he made it all the way to the AAA team at Fresno. But of course, then Max and Brock both were drafted, and Brock played some games with Philadelphia. Max has been in over 400 major league games.
Oh yeah.
And the brother Jake also played ball. It's just a great baseball story, fun to follow,
And all the way back to the Yankees, back to great uncle.
well, yeah, Merrill Hogue, who played with Babe Ruth, Lou Gehrig, and even was around when Joe DiMaggio was playing.
Wow.
He was an outfielder and all-star player, and so.
Well, and Jim,
but he was an outlier because he was an outfielder, and the
right.
Stassi connection is Bob Stassi catcher, Jim Stassi catcher, Max Stassi catcher.
Right.
So anyway, it's a great story. It's going to be fun to follow. But another part of that Valentine story was about Chuck Papageorge.
this is a great story.
He was at one point the youngest mayor in Yuba City, and he was mayor in.
He's the youngest mayor in the state, right?
Oh, excuse me, yeah.
Yeah.
As mayor of Yuba City, he was the youngest mayor in the state. Thank you. And he was mayor when Rand McNally published.
1985.
1985. They ranked all these what they call standard metropolitan statistical areas.
Yeah.
Sort of like when Yuba and Sutter counties reached 100,000 people, it all of a sudden was declared a metropolitan area by the federal government, and all the statistics Rand McNally ran through, and I think there were 326 or 327 of these standard metropolitan statistical areas, and they ranked the Yuba City one last.
Dead last.
Yuba City got the name, although it included,
As the worst city in America.
although it included both counties. It was named after the largest incorporated city in that region. That's why they have a Chico SMSA.
So what year did that happen?
1985.
That Rand McNally.
And at that time, the number one city, and they've come a long way too. But the number one city in that was Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania.
So
which tells you that the way they did the analysis probably wasn't. This is 85. Pittsburgh today is a very nice city. They've come a long way. But back then it wasn't so great either.
So the criteria they used was arbitrary. At any rate, the media took that to mean Yuba City was the worst city in the nation to live in. And so Chuck Papageorge loved the city, and he got involved with the chamber's efforts to take that publicity,
leverage it,
turn it around. They got millions of dollars of free publicity out of it.
Yeah.
And they burned Rand McNally maps. They took the ashes to San Francisco, dumped them on the front door of a Rand McNally office down there. They came up with the Kiss Our Buttes theme. At any rate, poor Chuck, because friend of ours, Frank Sorgi, who was a Yuba County probation officer, was on his work with a tie. Stopped off at the Yuba City Hall to drop off his the Bozos softball team recreation league roster. And as he's walking out, a reporter from KCRA was there with microphone. There was a camera crew, and they asked him what he thought about the news. And he goes, "Well, what news?" And they said, "Well, Yuba City's been called the worst city in the nation to live in." And he said, "Well, anybody who thinks that Yuba City is the worst city in the nation to live in has never been to Valdosta, Georgia." Then he went off to work. Well, that night they played on KCRA TV. They quoted a picture of him, and ran Chuck Papageorge, mayor of Yuba City, which
So the wrong person was quoted.
resulted in a phone call from the mayor of Valdosta, Georgia, like, what gives? So at any rate, Chuck passed away recently, and that's why we included that story.
And again, that was in the Rough Notes this past Saturday. By the way, Jim Stassi went into the Sacramento Area Baseball Hall of Fame. He's already in the University of Nevada, Reno Athletic Hall of Fame, but Jim is such a low-key, probably the best high school baseball coach in the history of California. And renowned as a baseball coach, phenomenal. Put tons of kids into Division I baseball, Division III, NAIA, and the major leagues from his program. So hats off to Jim and congratulations. That Sacramento Area Baseball Hall of Fame has got everybody from Dusty Baker to Jerry Manuel to some amazing people that have gone into that Hall of Fame. It's a big deal. So that was very nice. Jim's so low key, wouldn't tell anybody or no. I found out by accident. I sent that to you. So yeah. So
this is a baseball loving area. We love baseball here. I grew up with baseball. I grew up in St. Louis, and I just love baseball. And when I came here and then found out they have a baseball field right here, because it's like, oh, there's local baseball. And, we're getting ready to get
the High Wheelers, baby.
Pro ball here. And I'm excited about it. And I think it's like a legacy that I wouldn't have wanted to see end.
Well, and people should get their season tickets for the High Wheelers, get them going, because those seats are selling fast.
Oh, I believe that.
Because that's real baseball. It's MLB affiliated.
Yep.
It's professional baseball. It's the real deal.
You'll even have the MLB logo, I'm sure.
Oh, they do?
Park. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. It's a big deal. So shifting gears, you're Tower Media, you're the radio guy, a legend here locally forever. Bob Harlan's getting recognized. He's retiring as the United Way director, and thanks for mentioning that.
Yeah.
But he and Robin have been around here a long time. Robin, obviously, over at 103.1 for many years, in KUBA, AM 1600, a lot of history in the media here area, and Bob Harlan been around a long time. So you got to appreciate Bob and what he did for this community.
I called Bob because he had sold that station the results, right? And John Black, who had been on KUBA forever, called me and said, "Hey, you got community radio. Do you need any help?" And it was like John just wanted to be on the air again. So I brought him, and then he called Bob, and I saw Bob at an event, and I said, "Hey, anytime you want to come on the air, because he was always on Facebook. He'd be giving you the weather rundown.
Oh yeah, all the time. I love that.
The radio,
I reposted that all the time.
And so he came on a couple of times, and I main reason I had him come on was because Bob explained to me how much of the money from United Way stays here. And he said people don't understand that. So every time they'd have an event, I'd bring him on.
Yeah,
just a great
interview.
Great man.
Oh yeah, awesome.
What many people may not realize, they remember, but they may not realize the cost of this. In 1986, when the flood, and then in 1997, KUBA was on the air 24 hours a day,
Incredible.
7 days a week, without commercials. They ran no commercials. A great cost to the station.
Incredible.
But just such an incredible service to
Saved
the
lives.
community. In fact, in 97, I listened to I have tapes of the 97. So
it actually saved lives.
I heard this guy, John Cassidy, actually did some reporting during that. You flew over
I flew over with Dow Lewis. God bless his soul, from Dow Lewis Motors. Dow, quite a pilot. He said, "John, let's go. You want to tell everybody how their properties are doing? Let's fly around." So I got on his plane with him. We flew around for about 2 hours, and I came down with Bob, gave him all what I saw from above, which was pretty incredible to see that water and where it filled in South Yuba County. It was now, thank God, now the levee's $500 million worth of levee repairs that we don't have to worry about that.
I think not many people have given as much to this community as Bob Harlan.
No, he has been there since I got here in '85. Incredible. Okay, so we are sitting in a building called the Hart Building, where Tower Media, rocks and rolls. Kind of a special day at this shooting this week.
Which I didn't know, but
you didn't know till today.
And I know why you don't.
By the way, same month and year my father was born, God rest John Sr., and you knew my dad pretty well, Chuck. The same year that my father was born, this building was born, and its anniversary is today.
Yeah. That's amazing.
Marysville's first skyscraper, they call it.
In fact, the tallest building from Sacramento to Portland,
right,
was the Hart Building right here where you're.
Yeah. We're now the third tallest in the city.
They had
the hospitals won.
77 offices
in here at one time.
Oh, I believe that, because when the corporation before me that moved out of the 3 floors, it was all cubicle. It was just little. It was cut up in offices.
Yeah.
And now I've got half the first floor, all the third floor, and all of the fourth floor.
Right.
And it's like, this is a amazing building. It really is.
The history. Yeah.
And
the history of the elevator is amazing too.
Yeah.
And the future of the elevator is even more amazing.
I have to tell you a quick story. So when I found out that this building popped up in 27, because the Marysville Hotel popped up 2 years earlier in 25, right? And so I'm downtown in a little shop, a really cool shop, Diggs. If you've never been there, it's amazing down in Marysville.
Pomona, yeah.
That place is worth visiting. Anyway, I go in there and they got this gorgeous 5-foot baby grand piano, white. I mean, it's gorgeous. I walk over and play it. It's just great, right? So I bought it, right, to use here. And I look on it. I opened the thing. It was built in 1927.
Wow.
So
there you go.
I have a 1927 piano.
Baby grand piano.
Baby grand piano and a 1927.
How cool is
building.
that? That's awesome.
Yeah.
Yeah, a lot of history here. Amazing history.
A lot of different businesses. I see people and they'll say, oh, there used to be a bookstore there. Oh, there used to be Brown's Gas there. Oh, there used to be, I mean, there was a...
Didn't Steve White and Janie have their bookstore in here at one point in that when they moved from that corner, or vice versa?
I don't remember that.
Interesting. Okay. Maybe I'm getting
that.
too old. So, all right.
Oh, I do remember Steve and Janie White, but I don't remember the.
Yeah. Rock stars. Okay. So, I threw this question out on before the show. I guess I can't really throw it out now because you guys already know the answer. I guess I can.
Well, we'll act smart.
How many actual homes do people live in Plumas Lake, in the Plumas Lake development? Somebody want to?
You're going to tell us?
Well, you guys thought it was about half the number, which I think most people...
I guessed 4,500.
Yeah.
And
You
I
were in
said
that neighborhood.
6,999.
Oh, yes.
Sure you did. We'll have
I'll
to
fact check that.
We'll have to fact check that.
Go check that one.
So there are actually 7,000 homes in
That's
Plumas Lake now.
amazing to me. I didn't realize there was that many homes out there.
I don't think most people do. And Chuck, you want to tell them there's a new market on the horizon for Plumas Lake, which is long awaited.
The holiday market.
Yeah.
Finally, I mean, that community has been needing a
Grocery store.
supermarket.
Yeah.
You know.
Well, and there's other businesses that have purchased lots that have
Yeah.
been waiting for a catalyst, a market to get in there so you can attract more people. And now you're going to see that commercial area out there explode off of 70. Plus, there's a whole bunch of looks like planning for sewer, water, an interchange. Looks like they may get a grant they got a grant secured that's going to change the whole face of that place.
Yeah, they're moving ahead with a slightly smaller campus than they planned, but building another elementary school campus out there as well.
Yeah,
And so
the growth has been phenomenal.
Yeah.
And it's going to continue. So there's more and more homes being built out there every day. It's crazy. So I went out to Yuba College on last night and watched Doug Cornelius's men's team once again win the Bay Valley Conference. They trounced the team they were tied with by 30 in probably the best game that team's played all year. And that team's been fun to watch because they're young, very young team, and they turned the roster over last year because all those guys moved on to play at the next level. And they have gotten better and better. And they're heading into the Junior College California Community College playoffs in pretty good shape. Next Wednesday night, they'll probably have they'll host a home game as the league champions. So always fun to go to those games. The crowds are great. Really showcases what's going on at Yuba College. That was a lot of fun.
now my sports editor said he was going to.
Jeff Larson was there. He was rocking it. Really had his camera. He was ready to interview Doug. And Jeff Larson does a great job. That was fun. Really fun. Some more Yuba College connected sports stuff. If you had the opportunity to watch any of the All-Star Weekend, NBA All-Star Weekend events, including the what they were calling All-Star games on Sunday. I'm not sure they really were, but because that event has evolved, I don't know if it's good or bad or whatever. It's kind of awkward now because people don't want to get hurt and play hard. I don't get that, but the All-Star Game events kicked off Thursday night last week. I was invited down by Festus Ezeli, who kicked it off for the NBA with his huge event. Must have been 500 people there. They raised a lot of money, over 150 grand, I think, for the Africa USA basketball program, and specifically for this one, the Cameroon basketball in Cameroon, building courts and getting equipment and basketballs and coaches up to speed, and camps set up for all the kids in Cameroon, which is a big push by Festus and his whole team. It was a phenomenal kickoff event. A lot of NBA celebrities were there, and it was really, really fun. I went down there after a Yuba College board meeting and really got a chance to see Festus up close and personal, and really doing a heck of a job. So this area can be really proud. We've got a lot of good people doing a lot of good things. And he came through Yuba College. That's where he started his college education and ended up being drafted by the Warriors and ended up being an NBA champion with Steph Curry in that group. So.
I'm I just am continually amazed. Thank you for that story today about the Stassies. I love sports, but people would say, I think Graham McNally was off because they didn't look at any of the people in sports that came out of here. I mean, it's.
again, the criteria they used was arbitrary.
Yeah, Pittsburgh was number one at the time, so you need it with a big grain of salt. Even though Pittsburgh's very nice, they don't want the mayor of Pittsburgh calling me.
Do you know who made the observation, same observation that you did about Pittsburgh, was when he was broadcasting for the Oakland A's.
That was John Miller.
Hall of Famer Lon Simmons.
Oh, Lon, that's right.
Simmons, who actually began his broadcasting
and
career
is in the Yuba College Athletic Hall of Fame because of that.
At KUBA. He had the opportunity during the spring training game to say, I got to talk about this. He goes, I spent time in Yuba City and I've been to Pittsburgh, right? And he goes, no, there's no way Yuba City is a worse city than Pittsburgh.
You get known for stuff. I grew up in St. Louis, right? And so I went down to visit a friend in Southern California, and he had a guy out from St. Louis, Wally Nichols, this guy went to high school with. And, I stayed down there. Wally gets up the next morning. He's got a shirt on, right? And it says St. Louis. And it was the year that St. Louis won the World Series. It said #1 in baseball and murders. It was the year we beat Chicago for murders. So it was like, I said, Wally, are they selling shirts that say that? He said, I bought this one.
Oh, yeah.
It's like,
oh, yeah.
I'm glad they were known for the baseball. So
Lon Simmons is another local legend. I mean, he was here running with Gavin Mandry, Jim Watson, that whole crew when they were here. I mean, back in the 50s when it was, I mean, Yuba College is 100 years old, and he started his broadcast career. He blew his arm out or his knee out. I can't remember. Lon, actually, I became good friends with, as Rod Bilby did, the athletic director. We brought Lon in for one of the first years of the Baseball Hall of Fame here. And my mom, because we grew up in San Francisco, my twin brother and I, and my sister, and then my mom and dad from Ireland. My dad became a huge baseball fan, football fan, as he groomed us as kids to play all sorts of sports. Anyway, we would be in those days. They didn't have a lot of television sports. They had some, but not a ton. These teams weren't covered like they are today, 24/7. So you'd listen to the games on the radio. And Lon was the voice of the Giants and 49ers. Well, my mother from Ireland. Absolutely, and she never really got the sports thing that much, even though she supported us. She didn't want anything to do with the rest of it, professional or otherwise. Anyway, long story short, she hated Lon's guts because every time she'd try to get us over to the dinner table to eat or the lunch table for lunch or whatever, we would be listening to, Mom will be right there. We'd all be hovering around the radio listening to a Giants game or a 49er game, and we would kind of be, blowing our
and no transistors at the table, right?
So my mom and Lon's voice is as Chuck was. Did you ever hear Lon? So he's in the Hall of Fame, Baseball Hall of Fame. He's in the Radio Hall of Fame. His voice is very distinctive. But he did the A's, the Giants, the Warriors at one time, 49ers for years. And his greatest claim to fame, as I learned at the when his induction to the Yuba College Hall of Fame, he called the 1960. Hockey upset. USA beat Russia before the 76 one was. What was it? What did they call that one in 76?
Oh, I remember
with Mike Eruzione, and that was the big upset then. But he did it in 60 when in Squaw Valley, the Americans. He did that on radio. He called that, and then 25 years later, 40 years later, whatever it was, Al Michaels, his protege, who he trained, did call that game the Miracle on Ice game. Yeah. And Al was famous, and the guy who was his mentor, Lon Simmons, did it in 1960, which doesn't get talked about enough when America upset Russia in hockey at Squaw Valley, which is crazy.
Lon was a great optimist because you'd go into the bottom of the ninth inning, and the Giants trailing by 4 or 5 runs. And Lon will go, what a story this will be. What a story this will be. Lon was my favorite.
Lon was he was amazing. He was flat out amazing. One of the things before we go to another subject here, I'm going to throw out too, for lastly on the All-Star Weekend. If you get a chance, go on NBA TV or YouTube, look up the Legends Breakfast. So I've done a lot of television work and radio with Franklin Edwards, former Sixer, who played with Dr. J on their championship team in Philadelphia, and you've seen him on the Sports Roundtable shows we've done. He always told me you need to go to the Legends Breakfast. Well, to get a ticket to the Legends Breakfast, if you go in there, you got every NBA legend that's still alive, from Oscar Robertson to Larry Bird to Chris Mullin to you name it. Just an amazing group. Anyway, this past, they always highlight the players that came from a region or played in that region professionally with the NBA, wherever the game is that year. So they for those of you that have some memories, fond memories of the old San Francisco Warriors. They became the Golden State Warriors. Now they're back in San Francisco, even though they're still called Golden State. The Warriors won their first title in 1975 when I was growing up. I was Rick Barry. So Rick got recognized, and Dr. J introduced him. And the stories that Rick tells are phenomenal in the speech. But it's only 1 hour long. But if you get a chance, you want to go back in time. They even talked. Gary Payton got an award because he's an Oakland native. I knew Gary way back, and he got recognized, as did Run TMC, Tim Hardaway, Chris Mullen, and Mitch Richmond. And so it's a really great 1 hour walk through Warriors Bay Area basketball pass. Is pretty cool. So if you're into that, pretty cool.
Are we ready to remind people this isn't just a sports show?
It's not, but there's just a lot of sports in the news. Good call.
No, I was gonna offer some breaking news.
Okay, fire.
Yeah. So this morning we confirmed with Caltrans that they've sent a letter to the off-the-leash dog park over at Shanghai Bend, that development. They're selling the right-of-way that was purchased in 1993 for a third bridge that was not constructed because in the 1990s, voters here turned down a 1/2 cent sales tax for the local match for a third bridge, although they still complain every day about not having a third bridge. But at any rate, so the state purchased the right-of-way in 1993. It's been there. They've leased the property to the off-the-leash dog park folks. There's hundreds of people that use it.
Yeah, it's a great.
They've got a 90-day. They're getting a 90-day eviction notice because the state is selling the property.
Because they were leasing it for $1 a year or whatever.
Well, I think it was $100 a year. Okay. But at any rate, that's going to be very upsetting to a lot of people. Our Angela Guglielmino, our reporters out there this morning, taking pictures of
it is a great park.
Dogs and people and getting their reaction, and they'll be.
Well, hopefully the city or the county can come up with another location. So
yeah, I don't know if they've been looking, or maybe even they could purchase that property from the state. It's for sale.
So they've been. Let me make sure I understand this. So they've been the off the leash dog park has been using it at no cost.
Well, virtually no cost,
right? But they never owned it. So now
it's a lease.
Now, unless they buy it or somebody buys it and they can use it, they're going to have to find another location.
Right.
That's the bottom line.
Yeah. Right.
Got it.
Yeah. So that'll be in tomorrow's edition. We will be posting online, actually.
You heard it here first, folks.
There you go.
You heard it right here.
So a couple pieces of information, entertainment-wise, and I know you have Randy out from Hard Rock all the time.
Yeah, I'm going to be doing a regular spot with him. We're going to do a podcast. Because,
he loves it.
Because he's got incredible stories of people he's met and just his journey through doing entertainment for the Hard Rock.
It's amazing. We're so lucky to have him as the entertainment director at Hard Rock. Yeah. Randy Maddox, a rock star. So I'll throw a couple of things out. America, the horse with no name. Yep. If you've ever driven down the Ventura Highway.
Yep. All the lonely people.
All the lonely people. Did they do Muskrat Love?
If they did, they shouldn't have.
Can't remember.
They might have.
Sister Golden Hair, for those of you that like the Golden Hair girls. So some pretty cool. That's May 9th. That's a get a chance to see some of these acts that aren't going to be around much longer. That'll be fun. Their harmonies are. Yeah, Virgil Atkinson does a great job.
Yeah,
Virgil does a great job with America. They're bringing Sting back.
They're bringing back. He was sick this last.
And that's
concert.
in May, right?
Yeah, and so he was supposed to do one, and last minute he had to cancel.
I think it's May 28th or 9th.
Yeah, so it's right around the corner.
I'm going to throw another one out, and unfortunately, I don't think we're going to be here. We're going to be overseas, but I think Pablo Cruz is going to make another trip back to Yuba Sutter. They played 2 events for me, and you remember because Danny opened for them.
Oh yeah.
Pablo Cruz, the famous Bay Area band, came up with Journey, the Doobie Brothers. A Place in the Sun was their big album. Corey Larios in that group, and Steve Price. Dave Jenkins was considered probably one of the 5 best guitarists at one time, lead guitarists. And Larry Antonio, the bass player. They're great. Anyway, they're going to be playing, I think, out there again. Look for that. And they played 2. They headlined the event twice for me. Great people and great music.
They got a couple other senior citizens coming into the town to. Later, they got, at the amphitheater, Towada Amphitheater, I forget the date, but Willie Nelson
and Willie Nelson and his son.
I think that maybe we need to feature them in our senior lifestyle section.
I like that. Yeah. Well, and also, I'm drinking from the Brick because Kim and her team down there are sponsors. So you got to produce. If you like great breakfast, go to the Brick in Marysville. right there. They do a phenomenal job. Breakfast and lunch. And we got talk about spaghetti with Fischetti. Are there any tickets left? I got mine finally.
The 6 o'clock is
I had to go out on the internet to find tickets. They're selling so fast.
Yeah. Well, the 6 o'clock, I think, is almost full. There's still 7:15 is available. And it's going to be great competition for spaghetti sauce.
Oh.
And then it'll be family style. It's a very small group. We didn't put a lot of people in there. Like the seating is like 20 people for 6 o'clock and 20 people. We wanted it to be more intimate. And then, again, we got Ray Allen singing.
Excuse me, Frank Sinatra.
Frank Sinatra singing, and Dean Martin, and a few others. You're going to be hearing.
Phenomenal.
Oh, yeah. Just
Ray Allen, world-class talent, played with Darius Rucker in college, famous Hootie and the Blowfish. And if you haven't heard Ray Allen, I haven't heard him do Sinatra, but I've heard him do Johnny Cash, and he could play anything on a guitar. His version of Piano Man, Billy Joel's song, is better than the original Piano Man. Yeah. And he does it on a guitar. Ray is super talented.
Are we dunking fish in the spaghetti?
We're working on that.
We're working on that.
Can't find a pot big enough to put him in. So I'm gonna kind of end with this, or not end, but I'm gonna throw this out there for people. Get online, go on YouTube. Jess Yon, who played basketball for me and was a tremendous soccer player, got a full ride to Air Force Academy coming out of high school. A phenomenal person. She produced a documentary about females in combat, and you being a veteran will appreciate this. The story of these young ladies that ended up fighting in combat for the U.S. Army in Afghanistan is pretty extraordinary, and Jess is an amazing story in and of herself. But if you look up Guerrero on YouTube or the internet and research it, and Jess is interviewed in several places on YouTube. Jess Yon, Y-A-H-M. But Guerrero is an incredible story about these women who were combat soldiers, and it's incredible. So if you get a chance, look up Jess Yon, and Guerrero is the name of the documentary. Pretty phenomenal production, what they put together there, and inspiring beyond inspiring.
Yeah.
Incredible. Yeah.
We got a new military, so I'm excited.
Yeah.
It's changing. Everything's changing, but in particular, obviously anything to do with veterans or our military
is a big deal. And she's an amazing veteran. We got a lot of them in this community.
We do.
Yeah,
we do.
A lot of them in this community. So anything else on the horizon happening, Chuck, we're missing?
Well, no. Yuba Water Agency's proceeding with its little Fish Channel project.
Rocking and rolling with that. Great story in the Appeal Democrat.
Yeah, they're actually going to create a channel that goes around the Gary Point Dam so that they can
the fish win. Everybody wins.
Irrigators. Yeah, but 10 more miles of great fish spawning area that has been available to the fish for 100 years.
And the Yuba River is one of the best trout rivers, native trout rivers, and native steelhead in all of California and on the western United States. It's phenomenal.
And the other is the Army Corps is getting ready to button up the Marysville Ring Levee project here in a few weeks. Which provided great flood risk reduction. We're working on a big story coming up, a bunch of pictures and explaining the whole project. Over $200 million project.
Yep.
In the last decade or so, there's been $1 billion invested in the levee systems around here.
Yep.
So when are we going to get the story out of the Appeal about all the amazing people that have been here for no other reason but to hunt and fish?
They do a good job of their fishing column.
It's amazing.
Their fishing column is...
when I first came here, they started telling me, oh, yeah, they came here.
Will
Bing
Clark,
Crosby came here to hunt and fish.
Roy Clark.
Clint Eastwood, Bing Crosby.
Carl
Behring.
Jimmy Cagney actually stopped by one day we're at Bremer's Hardware over in Yuba City and asked where to go fish.
Hey, Buster Posey had property here.
Yeah.
Well, yeah, so did Roy Rogers.
Yeah.
I mean, all because of the hunting. There's great pictures of Dale Evans holding up a bunch of ducks and a bunch of guys standing around there looking at her.
Yep.
The old photos around. So, yeah, no, that's Dusty Baker.
Oh, yeah, absolutely. Dusty. I've hunted with Dusty here.
Yeah.
So, 93Q, a lot of great stuff in the mornings. Don't miss it. Chuck, to get on the Appeal Democrat, you can get it via internet, which I get it. I don't want on my hands anymore after throwing newspaper since I was 8 years old.
You know, if you don't get ink in your
No, I don't want
hands,
ink
you're
on my
not
hands
a
anymore.
newsman.
I don't want anymore.
Yeah.
But you can get it on the internet. You can get it both. You can actually have it delivered and get it electronically, the Appeal Democrat,
AppealDemocrat.com.
for the latest, greatest news.
So you can deliver to the Hart Building, to the 3rd floor?
Yeah.
Yeah, via mail. Yeah.
Because
It won't even get wet most days.
There you go. That's right. Yeah. Good call. All right, guys. Thanks. That was a good edition of the Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts. We'll see you again next week. You might even be live on the air next week.
Yeah,
just a little
we're
bit
moving
delayed.
in that direction.
All good. All right, Chuck. Thanks for coming by. Good, Sam. We'll see you at Fischetti with Spaghetti.
Yep, this
on Friday
Friday.
night. And the Killers, by the way, are also coming this week.
Yeah.
Get online, get tickets to the Killers at the Hard Rock. My daughter loves them, and so does Randy. I think it's Randy's favorite band out there. So, a lot of good stuff in Yuba Sutter happening. So, thanks for joining us for this edition of Rough Notes and Casual Thoughts. We'll see you again next time.